Hey guys, welcome to Carpe Dime, a podcast about personal finance and everyday life. I'm Dusty Simmons, Credit Union Marketing Sensei.
And I'm Jamie Davidson, your money mogul here at Financial Center First Credit Union. Thanks for listening. We're going to continue on with a new topic this week, right, Dusty?
Man, I don't know how we can talk about anything else other than what's going on in the world right now.
We're going to talk about March Madness. You ready?
It's canceled. It's canceled, Jamie.
This year's March Madness is a little different, isn't it? Obviously, we're going to talk.
Everything's canceled.
We're going to talk about your finances and sort of what's going on right now with the coronavirus and how to handle things the right way without panicking. I think that's our
message for the day.
That's our message for the day. Don't panic. Stay calm. It's going to be okay, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So most of you out there probably, hopefully you're not out buying too much toilet paper.
Because I actually needed some this weekend and there was none in the store.
Breaking the budget on toilet paper, bread, eggs, and milk, obviously. So we're going to talk a little bit about those things. We're going to talk about the budget today. What else are we going to talk about, Dusty? Today?
It's all about not panicking. We're going to talk about your short-term cash needs, your long-term investments, what to do if you're struggling with debt right now, and if you're affected by maybe shortened hours at work or laid off.
Right, correct. As we know, we're seeing almost every hour something new's happening, obviously. And by the time you guys hear this, something new's going to have happened, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And we're sort of in a position right now most of us haven't been in before. We survived a 2008 crisis, but it was a little different this one, right? Because it was just a financial crisis. Where there's sort of like everything's going on, right? You're worried
all at once.
Yeah, you're worried about your family. You're worried about work. You're worried about your money, and we're really going to talk about those things and try how to come up with some ways to sort of relax and not worry too much about it today.
So as you all know, if you've been listening to our podcast for any amount of time, one of the things that we always kind of hound hard on is the idea of an emergency savings account. And boy, if there was ever a time to have one and maybe need to use it, it's now, right, Jamie?
It is now. And hopefully you have saved for that emergency and you have that in your savings account. Even if you haven't, it's going to be okay. We're going to figure out a way to get what you need when it comes to getting through this. However, after this is all over, we're going to go back to that and say, hey, let's start that savings account right now, because right now it's really reiterates that. And hopefully, we're all going to get through this. Everything's going to be great. And we're going to start saving even more, right?
Exactly. Okay, so let's go back to not panicking. Number one, if you have short-term cash needs and your bank or your credit union is saying, we're going to drive-through only, or we're closing, what does that mean for you?
Don't panic, right?
Right.
It's going to be okay. You don't need cash. We're not a cash society anymore. Most of everything we do is electronically. Think about it. When most of us go out and purchase something from the grocery store, we use our debit card. When we go and get gas, we use our debit card. None of that is going to be affected by what's going on today. So you're going to be okay. If you feel as though you need some cash, that's fine. Get a little bit of cash, put it away safe somewhere just in case. But don't go to your bank or credit union and take all your money out. All of your money is actually insured at the banks and the credit unions. At our credit union, your money is insured up to $500,000. So if you have money on deposit that's $500,000 at our credit union, it's insured. Nothing's going to happen to your money. So don't go freak out and say you need to get every dollar out of your bank account.
Absolutely. And like Jamie said, get cash if you feel like you want to have a little bit on hand. But again, don't create a situation where you're carrying large amounts of cash in your home. Use your ATM. Right. Go through the drive-through and get cash out if you want, or use your debit card and get cash back.
Right. Yeah. And I think the thing we need to think about is a few things. Number one, having a lot of cash is not safe. Right. And when we're talking about this coronavirus going around right now.
Looking for ways to save on your energy bills? AES Indiana has you covered. From smart thermostats to home energy assessments, we offer simple solutions to keep your home comfortable and your costs down. AES can help you save money and energy with kits, tips, rebates, and more. Visit aesindiana.com/ways to save to learn more about how we can help you save money. AES Indiana, helping you discover real ways to save.
When is the right time to sell a stock? How do you protect against inflation? Financial decisions can be tricky. Your cognitive and emotional biases can lead you astray. Financial Decoder, an original podcast from Charles Schwab, can help. Listen at schwab.com/financial decoder.
money gets passed around.
Yeah.
The last thing they're telling you to do is touch other things and passing money around. You don't know where that money's been. So right now, money may not be the best way to go.
Yeah.
A lot of times people say you need to have some cash, and I understand that. But with what's going on right now, that may not be the best way to go.
And the primary reason that your bank or credit union is saying don't come in is to protect their staff and you from when you come in and exchange money or, use the handles and all of that stuff. So it's not because for any financial reason. It is just specifically for protecting people from spreading this virus.
Yeah, that's why you're going to see the things with the restaurants and those sorts of things going to limited or no hours. It's not because there's this huge emergency and the finances aren't there. It's because I'm not sure what's going on with this virus. And this virus is going to come, it's going to go, and we're all going to be happy and healthy afterwards, right?
Exactly.
The other thing, one of the things we're talking about savings and money. We're talking about that budget again, right? Don't go out and bust your budget this week buying toilet paper, guys.
Yeah. You want to tell them about your little story from this weekend?
Which one?
That you guys overspent.
Oh, yes, we did. We went out, we overspent, and it was funny because we didn't go to the grocery store like normal. We'd go and we'd get a little bit of what they had, and then we'd go back the next day and get a little bit more of what they had. Some of the stuff we needed, some of the stuff we bought because it's like, we're doing like everybody else. We're getting a little nervous, right?
Right.
And then we added up the amount of money we spent, and I'm like, oh my God, there's no way we're going to be able to eat all this food in the next 7 days without some of it going bad.
Right.
So really, everybody, pump the brakes, settle down.
Be reasonable.
Reasonable. Yeah, I was talking to my guy over at the grocery store, Fresh Time, and he says, we get a truck every day. No, we get a delivery in every day. So,
and then here's me at Target buying things like nail polish and candy because if me and my kids are going to be in a game because me and my kids are going to be home for a week, I want all this fun stuff.
That's kind of funny because it's really what's going on out there. There's sort of the opposite end of the spectrums. There's that spectrum where people are freaking out and they're going to get in the bunker, and then there's the nothing's happening. So the answer, I think, really is back to don't panic. Sort of get in the middle, right?
Kind of be your normal.
Get in the middle. What I decided was, hey, let's just buy like an extra loaf of bread or two and put it in the freezer.
Right.
But let's not go buy 50 rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah.
You don't need 50 rolls of toilet paper.
Gotcha.
Cece said toilet paper mummies. I like that idea. That's what they're going to end up doing with them. That's right. They're going to have plenty of toilet paper for the next year, obviously.
Crazy.
So, keep cool on that. Stick to the budget. Don't try to overspend. Another thing that's happening is because you are home, you're bored. So,
don't shop on Amazon.
Don't shop on Amazon. And now it's like, well, since we're home, we'll just rent a movie. We'll rent a movie.
Right.
Well, those are all going to add up.
Right.
So make sure you're
be smart. Just be smart.
Be cognizant of it, right? It's okay to buy those, but just be aware of that. What else do you want to talk about?
So let's move on to your longer term investments.
Okay. So everybody right now, if you looked at your 401k, shouldn't have done that.
Don't do it.
Don't do that.
It'll scare you.
We've talked about this in the past about keeping calm and running through when times are good and times are bad. And as we've known, times have been pretty good for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Off and on. Not a big dip in anything. So right now is not the time for you to go and change your allocations in your 401k.
Because you've missed the opportunity to buy.
Yeah, to sell.
To sell high.
Yeah, sell high. Yeah, right now if you're selling low. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I think, and you'll have investment specialists tell you this. Nobody can time the market. Well, this is a perfect example of that. If we had all known what the market was going to do 2 weeks ago, we would have, reallocated.
Yeah.
But we haven't reallocated. So stay the course. It's going to be okay.
Talk to your advisor.
Talk to your advisor. If you have an advisor and you haven't spoken with him in the last year, you need to make sure from here on out you talk to him at least once a year about your strategy. Because every year you get a little bit older, and when you get older, your strategy needs to change a little bit because you have shorter years towards retirement. Mm-hmm. Now, for the young people out there that I've talked to about investing, actually, believe it or not, this is a good time for you to invest. You are basically buying things on a fire sale. Go out there and make sure you have your 401k set up and you're maxing out your 401k if you can, if it's in your budget. If not, increase your investment 1 or 2%. Right now, it sounds like, why would I do that? Well, because now's the time to do it, because now you're actually, it's a blue light special. Get it now while you can. If you have extra money, now's a good time to buy those certain stocks that you've always thought about buying. We're in different times right now. That being said, different times are going to change. The point is, let's implement the things we've learned now for a more successful future.
And if you did look at your statement and you've lost some money, again, don't panic. The market always comes back. That's what happened in 2008. It might take a little bit of time, but don't beat yourself up for staying in. You're doing the right thing. Just stay the course.
Yeah. I've read a few articles, and here's a few a few things I've read and a few examples. Okay, if you're in your 60s and you were thinking about retiring, you might need to work for an extra year.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people didn't really want to retire anyway, so work for an extra year to get that rebound, a year or two. If you're young, in all honesty, this is the best time. This is one of those things where you're going to go, gosh, why didn't I? I had moments of that in my past where I was like, why didn't I invest more during this time? I'm thinking back to 9/11. I should have invested more 9/11. After 2008, I should have invested more. Now's the time. Add that extra 1 or 2% to your 401k and get that extra bang for your buck. If now's the time, not when the market's at a height, but when the market's sort of wobbling a little bit.
Right. Okay, let's move on to debt. So let's say I have a car payment that's due and my hours have been cut at work, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to make that car payment. What should I do?
Right. Right now we're seeing, there's some people that, that industries are getting shut down and getting closed, right? Obviously.
I mean, Indiana just shut down restaurants and bars today.
Well, before that, let's talk about, professional athletics. Yep. Everybody that works at those games, there are no games going on. And, you're not worried about the professional athlete, but what about the guy that sells the popcorn? What about the guy that tears the ticket? So a lot of those companies are actually still paying their employees because, like I said, this is something we've not seen before.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're going to keep getting paid. Maybe it will be at the same rate. Maybe it'll be at a reduced rate. So let's say you get to that point where you're having trouble paying debt. The first thing you need to do is you need to call the person you owe the debt to, whether it's a credit union, a bank, whoever it is.
Whoever your lender is, or your credit card company.
Yes. Whoever your lender or your credit card company is, call them and have the conversation with them, because a lot of the companies out there right now, they're working on this idea of you being able to skip a payment or two without any penalty.
Right.
We've seen them talking about student interest rates, about cutting that down right now with no student interest, or the interest is not accruing during this time. So it's very key at this moment, you actually educate yourself on this and make sure you're calling those people. Don't just assume anything, but most of those creditors out there are going to give you a break and say,
don't just not make your payment.
Yeah,
that's probably the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. If you want to protect your credit score, call the debtor. Call the creditor.
Right.
When you're the debtor, call the creditor and talk to them about that.
Yeah.
And then it's not going to affect your credit score most likely. But if you don't call them and have the conversation, then it will.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, now we're going to be dealing with a different issue. Your credit score has dropped 100 points. How are we going to fix that?
And you're delinquent 90 days and you've gone into foreclosure, some other process.
Foreclosure, and you've got late payments and that sort of thing. So make sure you're having the conversation.
Your creditor just wants to know you're making an effort or what your situation is. So the best thing you can do is communicate.
Communication is key here.
Very good. Okay, well, what if your work is affected and your income is changing? Short term or long term, what are the things that we should be doing to make sure that we're making ends meet?
Okay. We've been a pretty lucky society. Sometimes what we're used to having, we can't always have. So maybe it's time to sort of cut back on those.
Gosh darn it, we're Americans. We think
we deserve it. I deserve it. I deserve it. So, I think one place you look is your diet. You sort of change your diet a little bit. You look for those meats that are more of a discount meat than you usually would get. Right. You don't buy everything you want at the store. Maybe if you're doing everything organic, this might be the time. If it's hitting your budget, you have to switch away from something like organic to just the regular. You create that budget and you create that list. We've talked about that before. This is really important right now because this is where it's going to make a difference, right? You need to take care of that part of it. And you also need to look at the things you're spending your money on.
Right. Subscriptions. Movies that you talked about when you're sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah, this might be the time where you
Target runs.
Target runs. This might be the time where you actually do call your provider and say, hey, look, we've got to cut the cable bill because we can't afford it. You've got to look for those things you can cut. You've got to feed your family. You don't have to have cable TV.
Right.
Nobody wants to think that, but it's the case. Right now is not the time to go out and buy a new car. Right now is the time to sort of settle back and see what's happening. The other thing that's happening right now is we're seeing is a lot of people, it's that spring break time. So they're going to have to make decisions about that. Here's the good news. I guess if you go on spring break, it might be cheaper, but I don't know if you're going to make it back or not because the airlines might shut down.
I mean, I'm kind of in that situation. I've got a trip planned for spring break. And what I'm hearing is that the airlines and your hotels, everybody's very willing to work with you and make sure that you can get credit back for what you've spent so that you can use that at a later time. I mean, nobody wants to see the economy go down because of this whole thing. So everybody's being extremely flexible, and just know that you may have to change your plans a little bit.
Right. And you do need to be your advocate. You need to make those phone calls.
Exactly.
So if you decide you're not going on your vacation or you're not going to make it, call them and ask them what the policy is, because the policy usually is probably not going to be.
But this is different.
Right. That's the whole thing. You can't assume it's the normal policy because this is not a normal time right now that's happening.
Yeah.
But I can tell you guys this. 3 months from now, we're all going to be happy, laughing, having a great time.
Yep. The positives of kind of this situation, which is that interest rates are still falling. So if you were in this situation where you could take advantage of some better rates, what should you do?
So, the Federal Reserve cut the overnight rate to 0. That doesn't happen very often.
Now, by the way, the overnight rate is what banks and credit unions pay for funds that they borrow from the federal government. So that's not what you're eligible for. Prime rate actually is at like 3.25, which is actually pretty low.
Yeah, you're not going to get a 0%.
You're not going to get
rate.
0. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So thank you for clarifying that. The econ teacher over here clarified that. Thank you. But the thing is, if you have a mortgage or you have an auto loan or a personal loan, the chances are if you have a decent credit score, you're going to be able to refinance. Yeah. You're going to be able to actually save some money. When it comes to a mortgage especially, you may be able to save a lot of money. Now is a good time to look at one of those terms where it's a 15 or a 10-year term mortgage as opposed to the normal 30 that most of us do. And when you can cut time off of that mortgage and you can cut that interest rate, you're going to save some money on your monthly payment, but you're going to save a lot of money over time. It's the same thing with your automobile. If you think, it's only a 0.5%, but if you look at the 0.5%, you might end up paying less. Not only that, you pay it off less and you save 6 months on a payment. That's a lot of extra money that you can put in your savings account. And this is a good time to look at that and go, well, what can I do to positively affect my life financially?
Right. And if you have decent credit and you're paying on a monthly credit card at 12 or 13%, and you could consolidate that and put it in a personal loan at 7 or 8, again, cut your life or your loan in half and lower your monthly payments.
And you're going to save a lot in interest payments, right? Yeah. Another thing is, let's go back to the investment. This is a great time to buy. You don't get scared. I can tell you guys, there's the big companies out there. They're not going anywhere. And I'm not by any means say buy this company or don't buy that company. But look, Disney's not going anywhere. Netflix isn't going anywhere. Microsoft, Apple. Right now, their shares they're down normal from what they normally are because the market's down. Right. It's almost like
it's a fire sale. You said it.
It's a fire sale. And if you've got the means to actually jump in there and buy those things, now's the time to do it. I remember back, on 9/11, Disney got down below 30. I wish I'd bought it then. Now's the time to buy, those stocks you've been thinking about if you can afford to.
So the last thing that we want to tell you is that if you are in some sort of financial trouble and you need help, you can always call your local bank or your credit union and talk to them about, like Financial Center in particular is putting together kind of an emergency loan program right now. And you know what? Be patient because we're kind of working through things, and your financial institution may be doing the same, trying to figure out what to offer and how to do that. But if you're a member or you're a customer, we're going to be willing to work with you to figure out if you need an emergency payday loan. Don't go to a payday lender to get it. Let us go back to your local bank or credit union and let them put a better deal together for you.
Exactly. Got to remember, this has happened to everybody. This is new to the industry. This is new to the business owner. This is new to us. And yes, as a person that works for the credit union, I can tell you, we've been talking about this now for weeks and how we're going to help our members. And that's exactly what it is. It goes back to the education process. It goes back to the conversation. Hey, how can you help me? Trust me, they're out there to help you. Right now is the time. We're all going to come together and we're going to help each other. But you've got to sort of be plugged in and make sure you're paying attention to that sort of thing and having that conversation. Whoever you work with at your local bank or credit union, give them a call if you need something. They're going to be there. Just because the branch isn't open for the doors, maybe doesn't mean nobody's there.
Right. Make a call, get on chat, whatever you need to do. So. And the last thing I would say is, as we kind of go through this whole thing, is be kind. Be kind to one another. Be patient with your employers who are trying to figure this out just like you are. and just cut everybody a little bit of slack. I mean, the world needs to be a better place, and we're the ones that can make that happen.
Right, yeah. Give somebody a roll of toilet paper.
Share your TP, please.
We're really taking all the things we've talked about in the past about investing, about savings and budget, and you're really going to implement it right now. And if you've learned to do that, it's still going to be rough, but it's not going to be as rough. For those of you that haven't implemented these yet, we're here on the other side to help you with that, and looking forward to it, and looking forward to a beautiful summer and hanging out with beautiful people. And thanks for tuning in.
Our best advice is from our friends across the pond, and it's keep calm and carry on. Carpe Dime is presented by Financial Center First Credit Union out of Indianapolis. It's produced by Jamie Davidson, Dusty Simmons, and Courtney Cooper. Financial Center is a 6-time national award winner in the category of adult financial literacy, and our goal is, Jamie?
To improve your financial life.
To learn more, visit fcfcu.com. If you like what you hear, subscribe from Google, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Spotify. Thanks, everybody.